Everybody, welcome back. This is Barbecue Roundtable. I'm your host, Jason Hardy, with Elite Barbecue Smokers. We got a great group of guests lined up tonight. We're going to be talking a lot of stuff about barbecue, and you'll be able to get all the ins and outs about how to get in competition barbecue and how to get the best person to help you out. Because we've got somebody tonight that's the life of the party. So let's bring everybody up. Let's get this party started. All right, Miss Lynn, let you introduce yourself to start with.
So I posted on there, and it's kind of the joke. I am Lynn Keltner, and I am the tutor of the team Rooters-N-Tooters. Paul would be the tutor, or Paul would be the rooter. And we're from a little bitty town called Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. And it seems there's a Mount Pleasant in every state. So everybody always thinks that we're pretty close to them until we go, oh, no, sorry, south of Nashville, we're in Tennessee.
Yeah, that does seem to happen that way, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
So Justin, introduce yourself.
Yep, Justin Holt Brothers Barbecue, also known as Hot Brothers Barbecue, according to the mayor of King, Mayor Pro Tem. Charlotte.
All right, so Justin brought this up here. So we'll start the show off a little different tonight. So first off, Awesome Contest went to this past weekend in King, North Carolina. Had a blast to it. But that was probably one of the most entertaining award ceremonies I've been to in a long time.
Yep.
We tried to do it live. My phone overheated. Carrie picked it up. I've got to figure out how to keep a phone cool enough during the awards and sunshine, which I haven't figured that out yet. But we'll hopefully do some more live streams in the future. But I'm telling you right now, that was fun. But let's get back to the naming recognition we had.
Rootin' and tootin'.
Wasn't that off of old Yosemite Sam cartoon? Wasn't that what it was off of?
It may have been, yes. I don't know. Smoke Show Maria was probably one of my favorites.
That was my favorite.
Awesome.
If you're watching this, I'm gonna so getting a shirt that says Smoke Show Maria for the future.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
You know what's so crazy about it is
Smoking Scullins. I love the Smoking Scullins and the Mudley Crew.
It was a Matley Crew.
The Matley Crew, yes.
The backstory is the mayor pro tem was the one doing the awards, but he forgot his reading glasses and pretty much butchered about half of the team names as he got up there, much to the amusement of everybody in the crowd that knew who he was actually talking about. Locals were probably like, man, this is some weird team names going on here, but yeah. Us and we're laughing.
Funny part about it, they didn't mess our name up. Everybody messes Elite Barbecue Smokers up all the time, but we're the only one that nobody messed up. I'm sitting going like, dude, you the man. I love it. I mean, that was just, but it was seriously, if you're watching this show and you were the gentleman putting on the awards and stuff here, we had a blast. It was one of the most fun events we've had as far as awards. I hadn't laughed that hard in a long time. That was absolutely amazing.
It was good. That was a lot of fun. Paul and I both told him afterwards, we were like, we want to take you to some more of the award ceremonies because that was just amazing.
Yep.
And I tell you, man, the team names we put, some of you guys some of us come up with is just wow. You know, what's the wildest name you've ever heard?
I can't say it out loud on camera.
Probably it.
But he's one of our really good friends. He's one of our really good friends that lives close in Centerville, Tennessee. And it was a very creative play on words. And one of the first teams that we heard when we were still cooking backyard. And when we first got started, and I know when it first was announced, I was like, what did he just, what's his team
name? So I don't know what that was, but I got to figure that out now. But the other one is
you're going to be looking that one up.
Trio. Yeah.
Well, there's that one.
SS Trio, and this abbreviation in there. So that was a pretty good one, too.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I kind of feel like mine's just two plain Jane sometimes. But it was all good.
We get that a lot because we get, and that may be something you wanted to ask, but a lot of times people ask, like, you know, where did you come up with Rooters-N-Tooters? And one of the guys at the contest this past weekend was talking about he'd been to the doctor, and he was like, well, you're poking me from the rooter to the tooter. And I was kind of like, that's funny. But, years and years ago when we first started, our original barbecue name was Big Boy Barbecue. And that was because Paul was a pretty big guy. I mean, he was very tall. And then we started cooking a lot, and he realized he was not a big boy. And so we were like, this name is, it's just not as appropriate. So Boomerang is one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies. And David Alan Grier's dad was played by John Witherspoon, and I love him to death, and Friday and all the movies. But they were sitting around eating, and I just remember him going, oh, that pig was good. Ate it from the rooter to the tooter. And I was like, Rooters-N-Tooters. That's it.
Oh, I can hear him saying that right now.
I love him. Yes.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Some of the names people come up with are just, I mean, they're creative. Very, very creative on that. Absolutely love the names, love the whole personality we get with this. Real quick, if you're watching the show, share it on Facebook, share it, subscribe to us on YouTube, check it out. Also, if you ever watch shows after the fact, you can go to YouTube Music and watch Barbecue Roundtables and hear some old shows. I hope in the future we got the podcast coming out and stuff like that, but just give a shout out to that. So Lynn, how did you get into cooking? Not barbecue competition, but how did you get into the passion for cooking?
Okay, well, you're going to laugh, but when I was in high school, I was a big home ec person. So I took cooking and sewing classes in school. It was one of my favorite classes. We learned a whole lot more than just cooking and sewing, but it was what most people knew. So when I went off to college, that was what I actually majored in, was home economics. I have one of the last degrees from David Lipscomb University that actually says that I have a BS in home economics. And so I actually could take classes of cooking and sewing. And when you have time to do that, it's awesome. So I've always enjoyed it. My mom and my aunt both were avid gardeners, cookers, canning, cake baking. So it's kind of been just in my blood. Paul has always done a lot of the cooking because a lot of times I was working multiple jobs to support and sponsor Rooters-N-Tooters. And so, but yeah, we just always enjoyed food, and I love to eat. So, but then, to get into competition cooking, way before there was barbecue pitmasters, you just didn't know a whole lot about it. And this was back for us, it was back in 2010 when we got started. And Paul actually at the time was a professional. And for some reason, whether it's professional barbecue cooks or professional bass angler, professional just means you spend a lot of money. And so he was a professional bass fisherman and did like the Bassmaster Trail Classic type fishing tournaments. Loved it. He enjoyed it. I did not mind at all. And so he would go fishing. But the thing was, it pretty much was just him and either another partner, because I was not into competition fishing. I'm one of those that, like, if the fish bite too much, that's boring. And if they don't bite at all, well, that's boring too. So I have a fine line with like fishing. So he was doing that, enjoyed it, loved it. But, it was just something that he did. And one of his fishing partners actually had signed up for a contest in Gadsden, Alabama on the backyard side, and told us, and he goes, hey, man, we camp. Our whole family goes. We're really getting into this. And maybe that's something you guys should look at. Maybe you would be interested in it. And so we bought a pop-up, and we built a drum out of a 50-gallon barrel that people mistook as trash cans, and headed off to Gadsden, Alabama. Smoke on the Falls was our very, very first contest we ever did. And I think at that contest, we got second place People Choice pork and maybe a rib call, which now we can't get a rib call to save our lives, except this past weekend. And so we were hooked. And that, there's a huge joke anytime they ask if there's a brand new barbecue team at a contest. And as soon as that hand goes up, it's like, you get a call. We all look at them and go, it's over. You're hooked. It's that first time you hear, it just takes one time hearing your name called. So that's kind of our whole backstory. And I am extremely competitive. I played sports in high school, and I like to win. And I doubt that anybody ever sees that enthusiasm. You know, when we get a call or anything, I do not ever get excited. And so,
by the way, she is
yeah.
not telling the truth right now. It may be lightning in Tennessee
Not the truth.
because she gets.
I'm competitive. Paul is the
Well, it's
calm
not.
one.
Oh, well,
No,
yeah,
I'm
but the thing about it
competitive.
is, you might be competitive, but you still have the passion for
Oh, I
getting a
do.
call.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's the thing about it is, somebody told me at a contest. This has been years ago, and we were decent. We've been pretty decent in brisket at the time. We were doing really decent, and they like, why is it you've been doing good? You still get so excited. I'm like, when I stop getting excited about getting a call, I need to find me a new hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you
Every
gotta just
week is
love
like
it.
the first time. Every time. And of course, and I tell people all the time, I get very emotional at awards, and I don't care if it's the first win, if it's the 50th win, it does not matter. The tears just come. It's just an emotional, it's a roller coaster. You've worked so hard, and a good commercial will get me anyway. And any Disney movie, I'm going to squall, but you know, it's just this relief of, because you're sitting there going, you don't ever know for sure until they call your name last that you might not come in something that's not first. And so, you know, you're just sitting there and the emotions and your heart is racing and you're just like, please let it be us. Please let it be us. Please let it be us. And please, if it's not us, don't let us like make a fool of ourselves and make, you know, that face of, man, you know, because there are still teams that want to hear their name called the first time. And so, you know, you still want to be humble. And but yeah, I get extremely emotional at barbecue cook-offs and the win. And people will a lot of times ask, if they haven't met us before, they will actually ask, is that your first time winning? And it's like, no, but you don't ever know, it might be your last.
Yeah.
Because this one has been for us, it has been a really long time coming because for anyone who doesn't know, we travel a lot. Last year, I'm pretty sure we cooked 45 of the 52 weekends out of the year. This year, I haven't done the math because I don't like to tell Paul how many places he has taken me and how many weekends, but he knows it's been most of the weekends out of the year. And you know, you just don't ever know when that next one is going to come, and it may not come. And so it's been since October of last year for us. I mean, we have worked on category after category, then another category would fall off. It's tough. You guys cook, you know how it is. You focus on the one that's giving you trouble and you figure that one out. Maybe this weekend you figure it out. Next weekend it may not work.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
this crazy sport that's ever changing.
You know, we've had people on the show, and we've talked about this in the past, that we don't necessarily change from the area to area we go and cook, but the judging still does tend to have a little bit of a change to it. So we don't necessarily change because it would just drive all of us totally insane to just have a recipe for every little area you go to. I think if we do any change, it might be in the finishing dust a little bit, the finishing right there, the last 5 minutes, maybe tweaking it just a little bit there. But like you said, you start looking at it, and all of a sudden you start working on this one. Next thing you know, this past weekend, we're doing pretty decent. I think chicken was scored a little higher than it probably should have been scored, but I'll take it because it is what it is. But pork's just fell off. Now, I was tweaking around, playing with some stuff, so maybe that's what hurt me. But it's like, man, now I want to focus on pork. So when I focus on pork, what's going to fall off? Ribs or chicken or brisket? And it's just crazy. One kind of like, y'all have changed smokers and stuff here, and you kind of had to change the whole setup this year. From a functionality, a flow perspective, how do you think that's kind of been a learning curve that y'all had to go through as a team?
Do you think I know anything about the flow? I am cooking on a purple cooker. We cooked on a purple cooker. We're still cooking on a purple cooker. The shelves are laid out differently. Paul would show me, he'd be like, come on, baby, come on. No, we did go from a water cooker, and that is a lot different, the moisture level, to a stick burner. And I will tell you, we have probably practiced more this year on our off weekends, the 3 or 4 that we've had. But I mean, we have actually had to practice because that airflow is different, and the meat will dry out, and it's different. It's a lot different. But now I will tell you this: if Paul ever gets sick, we are so screwed. It is going to be awful. I'm just telling you, I just pray that nothing will ever happen, that he won't fall off a step, break a finger. I'm just like, I can finish it, but you got to get it cooked before you can finish it. I put it in a box and I make it look pretty, and I get it there on time.
Yeah, now
That's my
that
job.
time's a whole nother conversation with you with time. But I'm sitting here talking like the flow in the trailer. Cause like this weekend I'm cooking. My other trailer got it's not with me no more. It's been totaled, which is another story for another time. So I was cooking in my other little trailer. So I'm sitting here going trying to go grab paper towels, and I'm doing this, grab paper towels, and they're like, they're not there. So I got to find the paper towels. So go get knives in the drawer, everything else. It's just the whole flow in that trailer. It's like,
Oh, now that can be a very big obstacle to overcome. And of course, that is one of the reasons when we got rid of our last trailer and moved to an RV. Of course, I told Paul that one day he would not be driving me all over the country to cook barbecue contests, that maybe we would actually vacation and go see, national landmarks and, things like that. But I can help him drive. That's a biggie. And so that has helped a lot. But when we picked out our RV, we really were looking for a specific floor plan that was identical to pretty much the layout in our trailer. I mean, everything is pretty much in the same exact spot because, we're like a machine. Now, there are times you would think that we'd never cooked before. This weekend was one of them. It was just like we were stepping on each other, which is crazy that things worked out as well as they did. But it was just like, where is this? Where is that? And these things are in the same location that they've always been in.
Yeah, but it's just it's just a little bit different. Like you used to sitting there. I'm used to working on my box right there. And Michelle handed something to me, and she wasn't there this weekend, so I was trying to find it. And then I went and grabbed a paper towel, and that wasn't there. And I was like, you just want to pull your hair out your head. And it's amazing how much those little things slow things down and affects timeline and stuff.
Well, I don't know how people do it with only the one person, a single person cook team. That's pretty amazing because, you've got to be pretty spot on with your times. Because if you get behind on one, that's going to roll over to everything. So kudos to any cook team that is a single person.
You're talking about a timeline. All right. Chicken, I want to be early and get chicken in, get it gone. Ribs it doesn't really matter for me. Ribs, I just want to get them in when they're in that little window. Excuse me. But pork and brisket, I want to be towards the end of a turn-in. I really, truly want to be towards the end of that turn-in. But cooking by yourself, it's really, really hard to do that. And you are notorious for running boxes.
I don't mean to. I blame that all on Paul. He tries to give me warning, and it's always either the first category or the last category. It's usually always chicken. And he has learned that I stress out. I will tell you this, it only takes one box being disqualified to cause me to have extreme anxiety. And that was years ago, but I literally need medication, and he will calm me down and be like, baby, get it together. And he'll go, just work your timeline backwards and go, okay, because there have been times he is still cooking chicken at 12:02.
Yeah, I'd be killing somebody.
But you really have to have, and we learned that from Jackie Price, write it down. He wrote down everything. He wrote down weather conditions, everything. But you have to have that timeline, and we try to stick to it as close as possible. But we also use it when we're not on our timeline to help us know, okay, here's what we have to cut out, because there's going to be times, where you need to set the sauce. If there's not time to set the sauce, there's not time to set the sauce. And we've done that before. But he just, as long as he warns me and gives me that time, and of course, my blood pressure goes sky high during that time. And, but yeah, it's that one. And then it'll be brisket. And 9 times out of 10, it's because we can't make up our mind what we want to do to finish it. Because by that time, you've tasted so much stuff, your palate's kind of blown. You're like, it doesn't have enough pop. What do we do with it? I could have cut some more fat off, and we will wind up, and I will look up, and it's like, 30 seconds, and there I go, taking off out of my shoes. Not fun. I do not like to do that. I do not like to cut it close. When I walk out of the trailer, I am always looking, going, okay, who else is walking? I want to see other people heading that way, walking. There's nothing worse than to go so early that nobody's walking, or to go so late that nobody else is walking and they're all standing there. You're just like, oh, please let my clock be right.
And it really makes a difference on a small contest, 4-table contest, because by the time they get the brisket, they're trying to shuffle around so you're not on the same table and stuff around, so it can really slow down the turn-in. Your big contest, they just send it back. They got enough teams. Yep. It is what it is. But you get to a small contest, that I think that turn-in time can really make a bigger difference than a big contest. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. Chicken, my goal is always to be first, because I know that means that we'll make it in on time. Then, come ribs, you're still like, you can be at the beginning, but when you only have 4 tables and that you're going to hit each table, or supposed to hit each table once, after ribs, it gets picky. And if you're at the beginning of turn-in and, you need to hit a certain table, and so do these other teams need to hit a certain table, it could sit there for a little bit. So, the later you are, the closer you're in at the end of the window, the better. And definitely by the time you get to brisket. So the small contests, they're nice, but man, I tell you what, small contests now are your hardest contests to win, because you have to be spot on with all 4 meats. There are no more of the days of, a small contest and, the names are all over, and 2 calls, a single call, you could possibly win. Not anymore. Not with the caliber of cooks that we have, and the teams. There are no give me's. You better be on your game on all categories. And that's what we have struggled with this year.
That's something that I was talking to some gentlemen today about, and they were talking about, because we're looking to make some changes and different in this area, and I was like, we need more contests. Because the truth of the matter is this: we need more contests. So we get more contests, more people come out there, they'll get their name called, then they'll start having more people cooking contests. But by just having one contest up and down the East Coast, I mean, it's kind of like we've said it before. I mean, Justin said it's like getting in a fight in a phone booth. You just can't get away from nobody. It's just, you got really good teams. But if you start getting more events, you're not necessarily have less competition, but you actually kind of spread out the field a little bit better. Yeah. You can start spreading out the field a little more, then you're going to be able to come out there and be able to figure out, okay, how am I doing? Where am I at? And some new guys are getting name called. Then all of a sudden, now you got more people to fill more contests. And now you're going to have more contests all over the country. And you want to drive so far to do contests. But we've got to get more people cooking contests. We've got to get more people out there to do that. And the only way we can do that is us to show up and us to help the areas grow.
Super.
But one thing I'll kind of say about the turn-in time we're talking about here is, one other piece of kind of information keep in the back of your mind about that is, you've got to think about the flavor of your food. So if you're just sitting there and your food's done and you wait and turn it in and you've been sitting on the counter for 10 minutes, that's going to hurt you too. You got to have your flavor, your profile when the judge is going to taste it. So if you're just make sure you kind of keep that in mind. So just turn in late, it's not necessarily going to be the secret chance. Your food's got to taste right when they judge it. So if it's late or whatever, we said it before, food needs to taste good cold.
Yes. Yes. And that's one of the things that, we started doing is holding back samples and thinking, there's the potential that, pork might not be, tasted and judged, for a good 15, 20 minutes, maybe even longer sometimes, after we put it on the table, especially if you hit the table at the beginning. And so, you want to taste it when it's cold and after it has sat there, and meat changes. Oh my gosh, the texture of meat, sitting, and especially cold weather, when it's really cold. When it's hot, I don't worry about it as much, but man, when it is cold, I mean, it does not take long for a perfectly cooked brisket to get very tight.
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely do that. And that's the other thing about that is the fat on there. I know we always said we want to have like steak, you want fat on it, you want brisket to have fat on it and stuff like that. And that's great if it's hot. It tastes amazing. It has good flavor to it. But the colder it gets, the fat on that brisket, on pork or anything, it starts tasting not good. I think that's one thing that hurt a lot of people burn ends. Is there's so much fat in there. If they eating them cold, it tastes totally different than it is when it comes hot out the slices.
Yep. Yep. And that fat will start to congeal, and there is nothing nastier. I mean, it's just. And I'm not a huge burn end fan anyway. Even when they're cooked right, I'm still like, it's just way too much fat for me.
It is, especially with the Wagyu fat. It definitely has. It's different. It's definitely a different feeling of fat. And that's the thing about it. You can't eat a whole lot of Wagyu brisket.
Nope.
You start eating a ton of that Wagyu, as rich that meat is, man. It's great, but you can't eat so much of it like you can. A lean piece of meat, you can eat a lot more of it. So question for you, kind of on your background, like I said, the home ec and stuff like that. And because your job, well, let me back up here. What is your job in your team?
My role, like right now, Paul's downstairs trimming meat, so he does all the trimming. Again, if he got sick, the meat trimming would be horrific. I take care of all the rub, sauces, injections, and so when people will ask him sometimes, hey, what are you using? He's like, I don't have a clue. And so it's funny. I mean, they are definitely specific roles. So I have everything written down every single week, anything we tweak. And even then, I am always reading my recipes to make sure that I am doing it correctly. I don't care. I do. And y'all know I do it every single week. But I'm the rub sauce injection person. I make sure, all that stuff is loaded up, all the refrigerator kale. I do the boxes. Yay. And then for the most part, I'm just running and keeping Paul on schedule. So everything that is on our timeline is in my phone programmed, to go off on alarm. And my alarm speaks. So not only do I boss Paul, but my phone bosses Paul too at a contest. So right. he really loves the fact that we're both telling him what to do. But it's very important because, you guys know, we have a very good time at a barbecue cook-off. With where we travel, we see a lot of people pretty sporadically. We may not see, you again for several months. And so, you get excited to see people. I am a talker, if you guys didn't already know that. And so if I didn't have those hitting and reminding me, it could be very bad to miss, the mark. So, so I keep us on time as best as possible. You have to be flexible because, ribs aren't always done at exactly 10:55. And, but I take care of the finishing touches. For the most part, I am the taste tester. I am the picker, what goes in the box, how it's placed in the box, and then getting that box turned in. Paul does all the cooking and meat prep.
So would you being the taster and the finisher and stuff like that, in your background, like you said, is the home economics, learning cooking and stuff here, the stuff you learned in schools, you think that's played a part in being able to pick out different flavors or what to adjust on something other?
I am not as good as some of the guys. There are a class that is above and beyond. And I totally think of Brad, his palate, Tim Shear, his palate, they are amazing. I wish I could be on their caliber. And there's a lot of people that are better, but with home economics, I had a lot of biology and chemistry built in. So there's a lot of chemistry type things that go on with cooking, and that I do use that. And it's funny because sometimes I have to just kind of talk things out, but there have been some little tweaks that we've had to make this year, with chicken being one of them. Chicken team of the year last year, and this year it's like, we lucky if we're in the top 10. And we just changed up a couple of odd end things, and I got to thinking about some stuff, and we talked some stuff out, and it was like, just didn't even think, and some of it is 100% chemistry. Flavor is another thing, but flavor is very subjective. I don't care what anybody says. You can try to be as open as you can, but I mean, there are certain things that people like and other people don't. So I know Donnie Bray was one of our first classes years and years ago, Warren County Pork Choppers. And Donnie made a very good statement of, you need to cook good food, not great food. You need to cook good food that does not blow out anybody's palate. It's just across the board. It's good.
Yeah, he's probably one of the best teaching classes that I've. Slap's a good class. Donnie Bray's, though, just the way he taught the class and the information he gave and the way he taught it was absolutely just amazing class.
And I didn't even take, Paul signed up. I went with Paul, but I wasn't in the class with him. But Donnie just has a lot of common sense. There's just a lot. Common sense goes a long way. And some of the stuff he said it just made sense. It
did. I mean, if I remember correctly in there, he was talking about peach, something of the peach, about a sauce. Somebody asked a question about a peach sauce. He said, here's the deal. You may love peach. Your neighbor may hate peach. If you can pick peach out and he can pick peach out, you're going to score it a perfect 9. He's going to score it dead last. So what you need something other to do is be a balance, but nothing that somebody can pick that one piece out that's going to either be offensive or the hero. Yep. You don't want to be either one. You want something, like I said, kind of can hit all the marks and just go through the motion, because the job on this is not to win one judge, it's to win all judges.
Yep.
And so that was a piece of advice in here that was amazing.
That is fewer and farther between now. I mean, because in the past there have been years where there are a lot of perfect scores where all 6 judges give straight 9s across the board. There are a lot fewer of those where you please all 6 judges.
Yeah. Definitely agree with that. So in competition barbecue in here, we can control appearance and texture and taste we can't control in there. Whenever y'all were judging and whenever you're doing that and somebody new getting out there and somebody new coming into barbecue, what would you kind of give them a piece of advice as far as kind of what to focus on to be able to be competitive in that? I'm not saying recipes, but I'm saying when they saying, would you focus on texture? What's your thoughts on something like that?
So just from experience, because there have been times where I have had a box. 2 weekends ago, we had just about we cooked chicken legs. I think every leg, the skin blew, the tendons pop. I mean, it was ugly. It was so ugly. And I got so concerned with how it looks, because people eat with their eyes. And I was like, oh, if they look at it, they're not going to want to eat it, blah, blah, blah. Got perfect 9s across the board. I was worried for nothing. So to me, appearance, it's the least multiplier. Yes, I want it to be as best looking as I possibly can, but I probably let that one worry me too much. Taste, I still think it's very subjective, but tenderness is totally the most important. And I will stand by it. I said it probably 2 or 3 years ago that I really think taste follows tenderness. So when you're looking at scores, a lot of times, you will see if you get an 8 in tenderness, a lot of times you'll have an 8 in taste. I don't know why those are tied together, but I've just seen it on our score sheets anyway, that tenderness, can guide taste.
Yeah.
So I think tenderness, I personally think tenderness is most important.
I agree.
And we've said this before in the show, but I look at it from the standpoint of a steak. All right, I can have the best flavored steak in the world, but if I can't cut it with a fork and knife, I'm not going to ever tell you it's a good steak. But if I've got a steak that's perfectly tender, I can just take a fork and cut it and go through there. But it's not the best flavor I've ever had, I'm still going to enjoy that bite. I'm still going to enjoy it. So I would, like you said, I would say focus on tenderness. Appearance is appearance, but if it don't look good, fine. Like you said, it's the least multiplier. Put something in the box, going to be the tenderness good and taste good. If I'm going to have to forgive appearance, then it is what it is. I was actually having a conversation with somebody this weekend. I'm sitting there because we're supposed to just judge the meat right now. I wonder what happens if you put it in a box without any garnish. What would happen?
I know teams that have done it just as a test that you're only supposed to judge the meat, and it did not impact their appearance scores at all. But the only problem is to me, the meat on a white box just is not as appealing. Okay, here goes back into my home economics stuff and complementary colors. Red and green complement. And the majority of our meats are a red mahogany color, and it just makes it pop. Sorry, but it does. It looks better against that green background.
Yep. And one of the things she said earlier is we eat with our eyes. So whether our focus is going to be on tenderness and flavor, at the same time is if you can put it in the box and it looks good, then all of a sudden be like, all right, I know that's going to be good. I'd rather be satisfied going through there than be like, oh man, that don't look good. Then they can get surprised, be great. But if it don't look good and it's a little off, it's going to, like I said, it's going to follow that path of least resistance.
Yep.
Well, and you can use that garnish to help hold your meat in place too. You know, in an empty box, it's just got too much room to, slide around. And of course, any meat that's in the box, you see teams that, do chopped in the bottom as a bed to lift it up. They can taste and judge you against that chopped. And so, you can use your garnish. I know I'm a kale person because, man, I can make a fast kale box. And, but you use that, there's always that wonky rib that wants to kick out. And so, you use that to help hold it up and make sure that your meat's going to stay in place. And I always give mine the little shimmy test before I close that lid. Is it going, when a judge is presenting, is it going to sit where it's supposed to? All you need is like a rib to fall out of the box or something. So.
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely can easily, little things like that makes a difference. So tell us about the hats. So you said were we talking before the show or after the show about recognizing you? Might have been before the show.
I am so sorry. Hang on, just say,
Hank.
No, sir. No. So years and years ago, and I don't even remember why, but Paul bought me a pig hat, and it was probably because it was cold, and it was one of those kind of thick stuffing, with the muffs that came down, and the danglies. And I started wearing it, and I don't know what happened, but at that point, a lot of people would say, "Oh, you're the one who wears the hats." Well, then it became a challenge to see what I could find. And of course, in the summertime, hats, not so good. So I looked for the headbands. And so I have multiple sets of winter headgear, chicken, pigs, and cows. And I have one set of headbands. So everybody always laughs. And I do run across people that when they see me, this is a special occasion because I normally only wear these during turn-ins and at awards. And I never know from time to time which set I'll wear for awards. It's usually the one that we're really struggling with and we need to get a call. So the cow was lucky that we actually won. Most of the time, whatever I wear is not what we get the call in. And so, and of course we had tweaked brisket, and like I had said earlier, it's all in the finishing. So I know brisket was ready to go at 1:15. And we started playing with tasters and trying to decide how we were going to finish it. And by the time it actually came time to finish that box, we had already changed probably 15 times what we were going to do. So, when you're sitting there and you don't get a call, you're kind of in that. This is horrible. I hope nobody takes this the wrong way. You really don't want to get the 10th place call. It happens. Somebody's going to get it, because then, well, I'm nothing above 10th. But then you stress out on the other end of it of you didn't get a 10th place call or 9 or 8 or 7. And then you start going, was it good enough? And then you get up into the top 3 and you're just like, and a lot of times I'll just sit there and go, baby, I'm sorry. I hate brisket. This year it's been, I hate brisket and ribs. And so, yeah. So for Saturday to win brisket was a biggie because we have not won brisket in a while. So like I said, you can go from team of the year one year to nowhere close to team of the year this year. So,
we've said this in the show, but new teams getting into competition barbecue today, and we talk about class stuff we taking out there, and there's a lot of classes we've done in the past, still take classes every year. But the level of information out there for somebody new getting into barbecue, SCA cooks, the same thing, whatever. It's just crazy the amount of information out there that they can start. They're going to save them 5-6 years easy. I mean,
oh gosh, yes. I mean, the things that we had to work very hard at. There were some videos we started before BBQ Pitmasters. Look, there is not a BBQ Pitmaster rerun that we haven't watched 2, 3, 4 times. If it's on, we're watching it, and we'll still pick up on little things, that you see them do. And of course, Paul is always, at least one class a year. If all you pick up is a technique or something that saves some time, it's just those kinds of nuances that you can pick up. But we didn't have that starting out. It was trial and error. And, I can remember when we first started, we didn't keep good notes, and we would change recipes every single week. You wouldn't even give it time. If it didn't do good this week, you tried something else next week. And if that didn't do good, you tried something else instead of, all right, well, let's try it a couple times and see, if it works. And we don't change recipes, and we go north, south, east, west within a 12-hour radius. So, and I think this year we even hit one that was about 13. And so we do exactly the same thing everywhere we go.
Speaking of plug here, y'all, you're talking about a class. So y'all got something going on this year too, the class, don't you?
We do. We are going to be teaching a class, a shared class with Razor Racks out of Arkansas. I don't know when that is.
You've got a date.
I don't.
It's on our Facebook page, y'all. Go check out Rooters-N-Tooters on Facebook page. There's a link down there.
Go check that out. Again, Paul's gonna choke me. Everything is on my phone calendar. So if I'm using my phone for anything else, I have no idea what else is going on. So I live by my calendar. So it is in the spring, winter, spring of 2024.
February 10th and 11th, 2024, Lebanon, Tennessee.
So I'm trying not to get nervous about it. I mean, I'm always nervous teaching, and we've taught the past 2 years for the Atlanta Barbecue Store class with Brian, and it's hard. I mean, teaching a class is hard, and so I'm always nervous, and I'm always worried. But now I'm always more worried about, am I entertaining you? So, because I know how that is. I was a school teacher. I've done a little bit of everything. I was a home economics major. I did 4-H for years. I taught 4th grade. I taught college biology. I've done a little bit of everything. And I know that it is true that your brain can only absorb what your butt can endure. So if no one takes anything else away, just remember that.
That's a good point. Definitely a good point. Like I said, you have so much time in your life. You got to figure out, okay, what am I going to do now? If I do this now, what's going to take away? And this is from me coming and saying that. So I've all the fires Jason Hardy's got in the iron going. You still got to choose whichever one you can give up, because you ain't got but so many hours in a day. I figured I had to cut it back to about 5 hours sleep. I can't get no less than that. I can't do no less than that.
That's why we cook barbecue. Friday afternoon is nap time for Rooters-N-Tooters, and I sleep in on Saturday. I get more sleep on the weekend of a contest than I do Monday through Friday.
Holy moly! Well, Michelle does too, so I can't say much about that. But it is. So, a question for you, I'd like to ask some stuff here. What is the one thing that surprised you the most that y'all didn't expect when you started doing barbecue? That surprised you most about you've come to learn since you've gotten to be competition barbecue?
I think the biggest thing is how close we have gotten to some of the cook teams and families that we cook with. We've got some friends, of course, we have friends all over the United States. But I just can't believe how close we are, sometimes even closer than our own blood family, and a lot of teams will tell you that. But it amazes me the kindness and the generosity of cook teams. I mean, people share equipment, they share trailers. It's just unbelievable. And I know we were talking before the show of when you're traveling a lot, anything can happen to you anywhere at any time. I mean, that's a huge fear, to have a flat tire or an axle or, anything, engine, breakdown or anything. I honestly don't really let that bother me, because I'm like, you know what? I would get on Facebook, on Messenger, put a post out, and I guarantee you within 30 minutes to an hour, somebody somewhere would be on their way or would know somebody. So I think that has floored me more than anything. It's just the kindness and generosity and the camaraderie. It is, people say your barbecue family. It is your barbecue family.
Absolutely. Agree with that 100%. I mean, and I'm the first person to tell you I've had broke down rigs many times and had some great people stop and help me out and offer to help. And if you need something on a trailer, I probably got it in my truck to help you out. There's a strong possibility I got it in my rig to fix, help you go. But the family, the atmosphere, the friends and stuff we had is like basically it's unbelievable. That's about as you can say it. I mean, because I talked with more barbecue friends than I talk with any outside of work stuff with anybody else in the world. I'll talk with barbecue friends. Share ideas off of them. Not necessarily all recipes, but just bounce an idea off somebody. Have you heard about this? Or you seen this? I was talking to Carrie today about a trailer I'm looking at, and they've got an attachment you put on a bumper pull, turn it into a gooseneck. I think it'd be absolutely amazing. So that would pull a lot better on that. So
what would that look like?
Different. It's actually a pretty cool idea. I'll probably get one.
Over.
Yeah, it goes on the bumper pull. Sorry, off subject here. It hooks into the ball of the bumper pull. Then the sides go into it, and it tags into the beams of the trailer, like where you put the torsion bars and stuff. And that's where it locks in at, and then it goes up and over and comes in like a gooseneck.
What?
So it goes over the ball of gooseneck. And now you put all the weight on the rear of the trailer.
Yeah.
So it won't bog it down. So I'll probably have one in my trailer.
That's crazy. Yeah, you probably already got that. You just know it.
No, getting it, working on it, but I just be kind of cool. Real quick, do a shout out here. We kind of meant to throw out here earlier on that contest is coming up here. Smoke Timber Fest in Baxley, Georgia, September the 16th. If y'all haven't signed up for it, had looked at it, check it out. It's a great little location. We're going to be there this year. We didn't make it last year. But make sure you check it out. Go on the links, Facebook, GBC. It'll have links to that and also the website. And you had one, Lynn, you wanted to throw out there also.
Oh, wait, this side. The Atlanta Barbecue Store Classic. If you go into the AtlantaBarbecueStore.com, you can go out, get registered for that. It is the second week. Y'all know I don't have my calendar. Second weekend in November.
17th,
what, Justin?
17th and 18th.
Yeah,
17th,
that weekend.
18th of November. I think he said he had 30 teams so far pro, and I think 30 backyards. I won't quote on that, but he's got some more signed up. So make sure you check out Brian's class. Great contest. Atlanta Barbecue Store does a lot for all of us in barbecue. give back to the community on there. And also right now, Snake River Farms got a special going on there. 15 for 15, 15 for 55. So got 15% off. If you want to go on there and check that out. So go to Snake River Farms, links down below in the description on that. So where are you going to be cooking at next, Ms. Lynn?
Well, because we're always chasing. I'm honest. We're a team of the year chaser for either overall or for a category. So this coming weekend, we're prepping for Carrollton, Kentucky. And then the weekend after that, we're doing Bowling Green, Kentucky. And then the 22nd and 23rd, we're in Murfreesboro, Illinois. And then the 29th through 30th, when everybody else goes to Royal, we're going to Louisville, Kentucky. And then Mount Carmel, Illinois. And that's Smoking for Garrett. Love that contest. And then the 13th and 14th, we have some decisions to be made, but kind of favoring Waxhaw, North Carolina. I like North Carolina. I don't know if y'all noticed that or not, but I like me some North Carolina. And then Galax, Virginia to wrap up the team of year hunt. So, yeah. Paul's just like, hey, when we have that next weekend off, and I'm like, okay, in December.
That's the 2024 season.
Speaking of Galax, Zombie Q, I know David put a post out there. If you're going to sign up for the contest, send a message, sign up for a pay deposit, because he's trying to make sure he's going to have enough teams for that contest. Make sure you send that in now, because that's definitely one he's wanting to have there at the end of the year. Last chance for points and double contest, so definitely one to check out.
Yeah, and I think he's also doing. Isn't he also doing a rib burn and a chicken burn?
Mm-hmm. There's two single meat.
Yeah, so I mean that's a big point weekend. So
yeah, for sure.
One other thing I want to give a shout out to King contest the past weekend. They gave out cool trophies, didn't they? I need some cool trophies they give out. Brandon irons. I mean, that's just Punisher in a half.
On your arm, you can brand your arm with it.
That would be serious brand right there. That's.
Yeah, that takes some healing.
I mean, no, this will stay on the shelf somewhere.
I do enjoy the creative trophies, and of course, we won a smoker, and that Daryl had made, which was pretty amazing, and so that he did a lot of work for trophies. I like the unique ones.
Me too.
Yeah, man. I'll say this: I'd rather have trophies. I'll travel for cool trophies, especially musical instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely go for musical instruments and just cool trophies. I think that makes it. And they had a great contest this past weekend.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I bragged on them for a first year, and I think they put it together within like a 2-month period. I mean, everybody knows it's a year to year. As soon as you finish one, you start planning for the next year. It is a lot of work to organize and get a contest together. So, kudos. So, there were little glitches, but I mean, it was some very, very minor things. They have a very good location, and I think they can really build on that and have a big contest.
Yep.
And one thing I put a challenge out to all the teams and out there and judges too is that, and everybody out there, is find a contest that's close to your house and call them up and tell them you want to help volunteer for that. Help volunteer to go out there and help pick up trash. Volunteer to go out there and just help them put together contests. Call the judges, call the teams, just follow up with people here, communication stuff here. Because a lot of, especially a new contest, they don't truly understand all the communication side of it. And so it's definitely something other when you're doing this right here, just volunteer to help take a load off somebody's shoulders, because that will be very appreciative to that. And that'll help encourage to have contests again next year. Because
we have a ton of garbage. Man, it's unbelievable. And I have to say, they smiled the whole weekend. They were constantly asking, did you need anything? And we're just so happy that the teams came. We're so happy to have you, in our town. So there's nothing more welcoming, than to know that they want you to be there.
Yeah, pretty little town too.
Yep,
beautiful little town.
They had the biggest bag of ice I've ever purchased too.
Yeah,
I need some ice, and they're like, "Oh, well, we got you." And the dude came out, and the bag was about this big, And I said, you got anything smaller? No, that's all we got. And I said, man, that's like 40 pounds of ice. I don't know if I need that much. No, just take it. It's good. I said, all right, man, y'all taking care of us.
It's definitely a great contest. Lynn, you give a shout out to your sponsors?
Yes, would love to. Atlanta Barbecue Store. Love them. Love Brian and Ellen. They take very, very good care of us. Royal Oak Charcoal. Love them. And Craig and them have taken very good care of us for the past several years. We've been very, very fortunate to have that. Heavy Smoke barbecue team out of St. Louis with rubs. So we've been very lucky. I would love to give a big shout out to Lynn Keltner. She sponsors pretty much 100% Rooters-N-Tooters barbecue. So I laugh and I tell people all the time, I've been retiring now for at least 10 years, I think. I have a very good, we have a lot of good judge friends, but one of our first judges that we ever met was Carl Parrish, and I love him to death out of Alabama. And Carl has asked me for years, he goes, I thought you said you were going to retire. And I said, look, the day that I don't enjoy barbecue is the day that I won't have to work anymore. So I don't foresee retiring anytime soon. I enjoy it so much. So it has not gotten old. And so we're pretty hard and heavy for the past probably 4 years of doing, anywhere from 25 to almost 50 contests last year. And we'll probably hit 35 to 40 before this season is over. So, as tired as we are sometimes when we get home, and some weekends are harder than others. This weekend wasn't as tired. When you win, you just aren't as tired as you are when you don't win. But it was a long drive home, and as soon as you get home, Jason, you've asked us before, hey, are you guys ever going to stay on Saturday night? I don't think we have stayed in 13 years on a Saturday night. We're heading back to get started for the next weekend. So, and as tired as sometimes, it's 10, 11 o'clock and still trimming meat and, trying to get ready for the next week. When you get there, the excitement just starts all over again.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, it's a love. We definitely enjoy it. And I was home a couple weeks ago, wasn't cooking, and sitting there watching awards, and Michelle's like, you gotta go start cooking. Go back to cooking. You about to drive me nuts sitting around the house, just everybody else is cooking and you're watching the awards, and just go. I'm like, I like that plan. Sounds good. So we're trying to do it. Justin, give a shout out your sponsors.
Yep, Deadbird Barbecue DB180, State Princess Barbecue, and Herb's Honey.
Yeah, great honey, y'all. Check that honey out.
Oh yeah, did you get the jar I left you?
I did. Appreciate it. Tell the man I said thank you.
Yep.
It's really good honey. It's got a really good flavor to it. I really put that on the ribs and the pork, and I really like that honey. Got stunts. We got Rec Tech, Royal Charcoal, and Heath Riles and Atlanta Barbecue Store, Snake River Farms. So we got some great people, great sponsors in there. Elite Barbecue Smokers are sponsors. That's what it's going to do. But make sure y'all share this with friends and families. Y'all left comments. We appreciate all the interaction and stuff in here. We're here to help. If you ever see this contest, come to and say, hey, we'll tell you anything we can to help you get started. We want y'all cooking barbecue. We need new people to come out there and start cooking. Need new teams to get out there. So help, encourage somebody to come out there. Go be a judge. Go out there and help sign up to be a judge. You got somebody who wants to get in barbecue, help them out to do that. Like I said, but if you got a contest around you, go help that contest. Help that contest grow and volunteer. That will mean an awful lot to those people doing that, because therefore they can have somebody got firsthand knowledge. Share our page. Watch us, subscribe to us on YouTube, TikTok, all that. And we greatly appreciate y'all watching. Y'all good? Good night, y'all. See you next Tuesday.